just don't use anything.
Okay. Episode 2, Beating Barriers. Today we've got a guest on. Today's guest is going to be anonymous for many different reasons, which we don't need to go into, but how are you?
I'm good, thank you. A little bit nervous. Never done anything like this before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just going to go with the flow. And...
That's it. Well, let's just be natural, be yourself. It's just two people talking.
Okay.
Kind of again, no trick questions. It's all about your sort of you and your story. So again, talk about whatever you're sort of comfortable with and however it goes. If at any point you want to stop or whatever, have a break. Just no problem. Say.
Okay.
But again, with every sort of guest, I want to sort of start with going back to their childhood, so we sort of get a bit of insight to sort of where they come from, and kind of why they are what they are now, whether that being good or bad. But yeah, so what was it like for you growing up?
It wasn't the worst.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best. Mum and Dad didn't really get on that well. Both had two different outlooks on life. My mum wanted the family unit. She went to work, she worked hard, she saved money. My dad loved us and loved Mum, but he was a bit more, he liked to waste his money and gamble, and he wasn't so much of a drinker, although I did, hear him a few nights drunk when Dad fell out. He'd go and get himself drunk and whatever. So, and he was very quick-tempered, so we were always in trouble.
Yeah.
It was the age where your back of your legs got slapped quite a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Really silly things that you wouldn't dream of hitting a child for now.
Yeah. Times have changed, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, go to the, because that was in the times as well that we could go to up the road and go and get fags for our parents.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you didn't want to go, you got a belting and then you went up the shop crying to go and get the fags because you had to go. It was the time when people smoked in the house.
Yeah.
And you had those tall 60s ashtrays. Have you seen those?
No, I don't remember
They're
that.
like tall ashtrays. So they're like a tall stand, level with the settee or wherever you were sitting.
Yeah, they kind of started thick and then went thin and then like sort of went like a bowl.
That's it.
Yes, I remember.
So we had those, and then as we went into the 70s, then it was a big glass ashtray.
Yeah.
Or when you went abroad, you got a lovely big green ashtray or a brown ashtray. They were great big heavy things. And then you had the crystal cut ones. So there was loads of ashtrays. So there's always an ashtray and some fags on the arm of the chair.
Yeah.
Which again you wouldn't dream of now, would you?
Yeah, no, that's right, yeah. I'm a smoker myself, I wouldn't dream of smoking in the house.
No. Both Mum and Dad went to work, so we would what they would have called them latchkey kids or something like that, where you had a key. Mum had to put it on some string because I was a bugger for losing keys.
Oh, I see.
So you let yourself in. So I didn't want to go home to an empty house, I hated it. So I would go to the library and I would sort of sit there for hours until they kicked me out just reading books.
That's
and I
good
remember
though.
doing that from
a
very, very young age. I just used to lose myself in books. Didn't know what my sister was doing, didn't know.
Yeah.
As we got older, Mum and Dad would say, right, when you get home, you fill the spuds, you put the oven on, blah, blah, blah. Did we heck? No, we didn't. I still went to the library or wherever I went. And we lived a mile away from the school, and you could be home 15 minutes, but it used to take me over an hour.
Yeah, just doodling.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. So what was you like at school? Actually, no, where did you grow up?
Where?
Yeah.
In a place called Warsaw Wood.
Oh, okay, yeah.
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 And I loved it. I loved the place. I loved the people. I've recently gone back to live there. And so I love school. I absolutely love school. It was a great place for me.
Yeah.
Probably and I was a goody two shoes. So I remember being in the last year of primary school and a teacher accusing me of ripping pages out of my book and made me go and sit in the naughty corner, and I was mortified. I was so upset because I would never dream of doing that, but she didn't believe me.
Yeah.
I was a goody two shoes. I was good at things, so, I was really good at maths and spelling and sports and very self-conscious child, but I was good. And I went to the senior school and was pretty good there, but it wasn't wasn't fashionable to be clever.
Yes.
So I was in the top class when we went there, and I purposely downgraded myself.
Oh, I see.
So I would drop a few classes. Never enough to be able to
Sorry.
sort of the top band, but enough to be cool with the kids.
Yeah, because it wasn't cool to be clever, was it?
It wasn't. No,
Yeah.
you were a swat and you got picked on. And
Yeah, I
all
think
that
it's
sort of
probably
thing.
still the same nowadays. It was when I was at school.
Which is a shame, really.
Yeah.
Because if I could go back then, I don't think I'd worry too much about it. But people did bully you. So being a very short person,
Yeah.
so I think I've been 5 foot all my life. So being a very short person, I relied on my mouth
Yeah.
to get me through.
Yeah.
So I was very loud, and I would sort of almost preempt somebody was going to pick on me.
Yeah.
So I'd make sure that they knew they were going to get away with it with me. So I was quite aggressive.
Yeah.
I was quite an aggressive person. And I had lots of fights.
Mm.
Lots and lots of fights.
You got to look after yourself, ain't you?
Yeah.
I think it was a bit similar for me as a kid. I wouldn't say I was a fighter, but then I was tiny. I was, and I'm still a little man now. But I think because I knew sort of a lot of the bigger lads, and I could play football, I think it helped me from sort of
Yeah.
potentially getting picked on.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have anybody. My dad used to tell me, you know, if somebody picks on you, you go to the biggest one,
Yeah.
and you go for them. So my dad used to teach me how to fight.
Mhm.
And my sister's a couple of years older than me, and she would come to me and say, so and so's picking on me. So I'd go, hang on, and I'd just walk through, didn't care. And you know, I got myself battered a couple of times, but
Yeah.
I always got up and always got them back.
That's it, and that's sometimes, or at least back in them days,
Looking
part of
back
growing
on
up, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And but it's weird because as an adult, I've had a lot of guilt around that.
Okay.
Because as an adult, I know how to deal with that now.
Yeah.
As a child, I was never taught how to deal
Yeah.
with that. My dad taught me to just attack people, and that's not the way.
No, of course not.
Self-preservation, yeah, different thing, but you know, I probably instigated a lot because I knew this person was probably tougher, harder
Yeah.
than I was. So I would be, you know, you're either my friend or my enemy.
Yeah.
Sort of
Oh,
thing.
it's very sort of black and white.
Yeah.
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 Who was your role model growing up?
Oh, me nan.
Your nan.
Oh, she was an angel. She was an angel from heaven, and she died at 70, which was a shame.
Yeah.
Because you're just getting to appreciate how wonderful people are, and then she went. So I was quite young, not young, but I was a young adult when she went, and she was an angel, absolute angel.
I think I found growing up, it was with my own experiences, I do think nans are sometimes cornerstones of families.
Yeah.
So whereas I can think of probably 2, 3, maybe 4 families where once nan's gone, the family seems to sort of disperse a little bit. Whereas let's sort of say for us sometimes it would have been on a Sunday, go to nan's, have dinner, but kind of like everybody goes. Whereas as soon as nan goes, yeah,
they actually are, and I think we didn't get that because nan didn't live long enough, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
And again, I think I spent my whole life feeling guilty about things because when I became, we were at nan's a lot as young children in school holidays with mum working and that. So I was brought up in all the school holidays in Birmingham.
yeah,
And nan was just an absolute treasure, but she was so busy. You know, we were still latchkey kids even though we were stopping at nan's.
Yeah.
Because we would go out all day. Those were the days you would go out all day, and as soon as the street lights come on, you know you've got to make your way back.
yeah.
Nobody wondered where you was. Nobody
Yeah.
cared whether you'd ate.
That's
drink,
it. Yeah.
You know, and nowadays you get like, a so-and-so had a drink, and you go, no, they never asked for one. Oh my God, they're going to be dehydrated.
Yeah.
What happened to me? I never got dehydrated
Well,
as a
it
child.
was. We spoke about this in the last podcast.
I think you did.
With the street lights, but it was different, wasn't it? There was more community. I could come to your house as a kid, and you'd feed me and kind of water me, or vice versa, and my mum and dad would look after you, or kind of different situations like that.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if my kids, well, my youngest is 8. She said, "Can I go and play up the road?" She's got no
You
chance.
can't do it now.
Absolutely no chance.
It's awful. I mean, you did come to my house as a kid.
Yeah,
quite a lot.
yeah.
And I think I fed and watered you quite a few times.
Plenty of times, yeah.
And I think we had a cat from you. We had a little kitten.
Oh, I don't remember that. So remember, yeah, our cat Tiger, she had quite a few kittens, didn't she?
This was a black fluffy one.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I think my son came back and said, if we don't, they're going to be put down or left in the waste ground or something. So whatever story to make me feel guilty and have the cat.
Yeah. Oh, no. Bless him. So I remember as well, actually, I've still got a scar on my leg. When I think we broke your window playing football. So we all stood around it, and then the glass sort of fell on my leg. And then, yeah, I just remember, yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that vaguely. You're bringing back memories now, yeah.
That was some years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Would I have been about maybe 10 or 11?
Yeah, so...
Possibly. Or maybe senior school. But even still, maybe 12 then.
20...
I'm 38 now.
Yeah, so 26 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I don't know where the time goes, and that's
Yeah,
probably
absolutely flies
something
by.
that, you know, any sort of person watching this and going, like, you know, this is an older person talking, and who's interested in an older person? They might not be. But one of the things I can say early on is just treasure every moment you've got, because you just never know.
Yeah, it's very true.
We've only got one life, and you hear it so much, but you don't realise what people are actually saying to you. You listen,
Yeah,
but you don't absorb what people are saying to you.
absolutely.
Till you get older and you go, shit,
Yeah,
the time has gone so fast. And in my head, I'm still that young mother, or I'm still a young teenager
Yeah.
in my head.
yeah,
My body tells me otherwise every time I move. And I'm thinking, hopefully I'll live another 30 years. But I'm going to be creaking and thinking of all the things I could have done when I was able.
yeah,
You know, and I think that's why I feel a lot of guilt about just being as aggressive as I was, but it was the only way I knew how to be.
Yeah.
It was like survival.
But then I wouldn't sort of say to necessarily feel guilty about it. It was just a part of your sort of journey, and then it's part of your growth now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because then I think sometimes life is just a big journey and a big lesson.
It is, and I funny enough, I saw something on some social media, and it was saying that Earth is a school,
Yeah,
and we're all here to learn lessons. And from a very young age, I always remember thinking that that's exactly what it was, but I didn't know why I thought that.
Yeah.
And as I've got older, it's fell into place. We are here to learn lessons and become better people.
absolutely.
And this is an experience that we may not ever get again, or we may have to keep doing it over and over again, whatever you believe,
Until you sort of master it.
till you mastered it.
But then what does mastering life look like? Because you might say this is mastering life, and I might say something completely different.
Yeah,
And then is it just sort of subjective?
I think, no, but I don't think anybody that I know, including myself, would ever be a master of life.
Yeah.
Because there's too many outside influences. But I think what we have to do is do our best.
Yeah. And as humans, we're flawed.
And we are definitely flawed.
Yeah.
But we will always make mistakes. But the lesson is, what do we learn from that?
Yes.
And do we truly believe that what we did was the right thing to do, and would we do it again? And if that's what you think, that's what you think.
Yeah. Very true. That's
But a
good.
lot of the things that I've done, I would probably do even just a fraction different. There is nothing in my life I've done that I would,
Yeah.
under heart, say, yeah, that's exactly how I would do it again.
Yeah.
Because it actually isn't.
Of course not, because I think sometimes you learn from that experience, and then you've got that, even if it's a little 5% more knowledge or sort of experience, sort of think, maybe I should have calmed down here or said this instead of that.
Loads of things I'd do different. And I made some people's lives miserable.
Yeah.
And I would never want to do that. And then when I then got married, and that person made my life a misery, I actually felt that was my karma.
Yeah.
That it had come back because I'd been quite an aggressive young teenager.
Mhm.
I mean, once I'd left school and gone to work, it was different, totally different. But I felt I was being punished, and I don't believe that anymore, but I did at the time.
Yeah.
I
So I
think
do
it was-
believe in sort of karma, whereas I think your energy comes back round.
Yeah, what I'd put out came back to me.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. So it wasn't like any higher force sort of saying she's a bad person, I'm going to punish her and this is what I'm going to do. I think it was that bad energy that I put out came back to me tenfold. And that made me a better person. It made me, it was a lesson that I had to learn.
Yeah.
Just wish I'd have learned it a different way.
Yeah.
And it'd have been shorter, because some people have like short, sharp lessons. I had one that lasted 30 odd years.
Yeah.
Um,
You must have been real bad in the past
I
life.
must have been very, very bad, yeah. And so now I feel like I'm at the age that I am, and thinking, why did I not realise this sooner?
Yeah.
Because I've always thought I've been a switched on person, but then I've got to this point in my life and thinking, I'm actually not, you know, I wasn't actually learning as much as I thought I was.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Of course, but then sometimes you have to sort of endure to get to a certain point, then to be able to sort of say, right then, this is it for me, or enough's enough kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or whereas, and also I believe sometimes, let's say you talk about your marriage, was that just a part of your journey then for you to be in this position where you are now, to sort of say, I'm so and so, and I'm a comfortable, confident, sort of individual and sort of secure in the person that I am.
Yeah, and I think your life is mapped out. There are certain paths you can take, but if you take a certain path, that's what it's going to lead to, because it's set out for you somehow. I've got a little bit more, you know, I do delve into lots and lots of weird things that people would call me a bit of a weirdo, but
and we all go in our own way.
I'm definitely a weirdo, and I do believe that this is a journey, this is a life of lessons, and we will only grow from learning from those lessons.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people that unfortunately nearly didn't learn my lessons, and I would have just probably had to continue suffering until I did. And some people don't, they continue suffering until the day they die.
Yeah.
Because they don't get that, hang on a minute, this is happening to me for a reason.
Yeah, that resilience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is about your energy that you put out. So you put out a positive energy, you're going to attract a positive. You're going to, you know, people talk about vibrations and energy.
Yeah.
And I've been reading into a lot of that. But I think it's what helped me survive, because you know me, I've always smiled.
Yeah.
And anybody that knew me through all of the turmoil and anguish and drama that I've been through would never believe I've been through it.
Yeah.
Because I've smiled every single day.
Yeah. That was a big defense mechanism for me, that was.
Yeah, never sat and cried and saying, why me?
Mm-hmm.
I've always sat and smiled and said, it's not going to beat me.
Yeah.
But what I didn't really do was set the right boundaries. And it's hard to set boundaries when you've had a pattern of life that you've let people take advantage of you for your whole life, and abuse you and do all the things that they've done.
It becomes the norm in a way, doesn't it?
It becomes the norm, and you just survive through it and keep smiling and keep surviving. And I think if I hadn't have stayed as positive, it could have had totally different.
Yeah.
And I am having therapy, and I had the same therapist about 4 years ago, and she said to me that how I dealt with it really, really well, and that if, say for instance, you know, something can turn someone into an addict, you know, drugs, drink, gambling, whatever. She said it could be just something as a, you know, a relative in that dying, can be a divorce, it can be a house move, it can be somebody cheating on you.
Yeah.
All of those things on their own can turn someone's mood totally upside down, put them in negative energy, and then they start relying on something to make them feel better.
Yeah.
And she said you've had a lot, you've had cancer, you've had abuse, you've had the divorce, you've had, you know, the deaths, you've had the cheating, and she said you've had so many things, and yet not once have you
give up
and took something, you know, like drugs or drink or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that need to stay in control.
Yeah.
Because I deep down in me, I've always needed to stay in control. So I couldn't drink and I couldn't take drugs, because that would be to me succumbing to something else and then that would be in control, and I can't do that.
Yeah. So do you reckon as well that would be a case of, let's sort of say, to me growing up, knowing you was always smiley and lovely and bubbly. Again, that's you controlling your emotions, sort of say.
Yeah.
You still want to be perceived by myself and all the other kids in the area as that person.
Yeah, it is.
And everybody else in the neighbourhood.
It's sort of, something could happen in the house, and I would open the door, and hi, whoever was there. So I could have been hit. Something could have happened. Some massive argument, anything. I could have just found out my husband was cheating yet again, and I would be breaking my heart. But when I opened that door, it was like stars in your eyes.
Yeah.
Today, Malcolm, I am going to be, And,
I'll be Tina Turner.
Yeah, and I was that person when I opened the door, and nobody would have ever known. But the only people that knew were witnesses to what was happening at the time. And anybody that knows me saying, "You're not that person to put up with that."
Yeah.
And I didn't feel I was putting up with it. I felt I was just surviving.
Yeah. There's a big difference, isn't there?
Yeah. It wasn't. I wasn't tolerating it. I didn't feel I was tolerating it. But from the outside looking in, I was. But I was just surviving until my moment came that I could escape.
Yeah, like your sort of survival strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that was like a bit of the culture sort of years ago, wasn't it? What happens at home stays at home.
Yeah, it was embarrassing though. It was shaming.
Yeah.
I felt ashamed, and yet I shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because it was happening to me. I wasn't doing it. It was happening to me. But the shame of it was I didn't want anybody to know.
Yeah. Because it can be a bit embarrassing as well, can't it?
Yeah.
And I think people sort of suffer that. I think I did personally. People, not so much similar thing maybe, but might sort of think, well, why did that happen and why did you put up with this? But then it's easy to talk about when you're not in them situations, isn't it?
Yeah. I look at people now. Why don't you just get out?
Yeah.
Because that's the first thing that people think.
Yeah.
But I knew it. I know. Even though that's the first thing you think, and you think, I actually know the answer to that. So why am I asking that in my head? Because sometimes you just mentally or physically, or you're protecting somebody else, and usually I was protecting someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And all of our married life, and the time we were together, we always had someone staying with us, always.
Yeah. It
was very rare that we were just a family unit.
That rings a bell. I remember you having certain visitors.
So I've had my dad and his girlfriend at the time.
You had a dog as well. Was it your dad's dog?
That was my mother-in-law's dog. So we had their dog. So she stayed with us, and then we kept the dog. So, and she'd come over and stay for a few days. My dad had come over and stay. So sometimes they lived with us, sometimes they didn't. So I couldn't just go and leave because my dad was living with me. Mm-hmm. That was the excuses I was giving myself.
Yeah.
I didn't want to uproot the kids. They've got people around them.
Yeah. And
so there was always a excuse or reason. I was never ever afraid of being on my own. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the one thing. I love being on my own, and that comes from someone that's always had someone living with them.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've always loved my own company, and I'll just go and I'll take myself to a room where I can be on my own.
Yeah, I think it's quite refreshing, isn't it, to be on your own?
I've always done it as a child. I've always sat and I've gone and I've thought and I've daydreamed, and when I look back to as a child daydreaming, that's exactly what they taught you now about manifesting. If you want to manifest something, it is to visualise and dream about it. And that's what I used to do as a child, and I think that's why my childhood wasn't as bad as it could have been. Because I used to visualise what was going to happen tomorrow. I used to visualise what was going to happen when I went to school. And invariably...
It can be quite powerful, can't it?
Yeah, and it did.
Yeah.
Not exactly how, but everything always worked out. And I think that was because I had that time to sit and daydream. Yeah.
So what would you say then? Was a dream as a child? What was a dream of?
It'd be silly things as a child. It would be, you might see a lad that you fancied at school, and I would visualise him asking me out.
Yeah.
And they always did.
Yeah.
Always. If I set my eyes on someone, and I didn't have to do anything, I just had to visualise it.
Yeah.
But,
kind of putting out certain energy
on you.
I
didn't know that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what I was doing. So it was things like that. But as you then become an adult, and things happen like abuse and upset, and you forget how to do it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realise I was doing it. And now I find it very difficult to sit and daydream. My mind wanders about I've got to decorate that ceiling, and I've got to go and get my granddaughter out to school.
Yeah,
and
that's
I've got
what
some
grown
work
up
to-
life though, isn't it?
Yeah, so that stops us being our authentic selves.
Yeah, yeah,
We
very
forget
true,
it
very true.
because we've got this family that we're looking at and looking after and feel responsible for.
Yeah,
So when you said about Nan being the cornerstone, that's where I am now.
yeah,
And everything sits on me. And I'm like the person, if I don't set my boundaries and I don't live my life right,
yeah,
how can I expect my family to?
very true.
But because I've never set the boundaries, or I have, but they've pushed them and I've allowed them to push the boundaries down, it's very difficult. But I know that that's my job to do right now.
Yeah, 'cause sometimes you can't look after anybody else, you can't look after yourself.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. But saying about me with children, sort of, again, a bit weird. My dream as a kid was to sort of have a normal life kind of thing. But then you guys, from the outside in, I'd probably sort of say, I want a life like that.
Yeah.
But then you talking now, it's completely different. And sometimes, like they say, don't know what happens behind closed doors.
And what is a normal life?
Well,
None of us
is
know,
it.
do we?
This is it, yeah.
I thought my life was normal as a child, but it wasn't. All those arguments and mum and dad falling out, and dad having, dad was bad tempered with us.
Yeah.
That wasn't normal. So I never had a father figure. So in terms of what behaviour to expect from a man.
Yeah.
So I then married someone who was very much the same, but worse. The traits were worse.
Yeah.
They were all there, but whereas my dad had respect,
Yeah.
my husband didn't. So there was nothing that he wouldn't do.
Yeah. Well, that is so crazy you say that, because I think I've read that before. Daughters sort of frame their men on their fathers. And I said this to my, I've got 3 daughters.
Yeah.
And I said to my bigger 2, sort of said, girls, do you know what they say? Daughters or women sort of go for men who sort of like their fathers, and they went, that's weird.
Yeah.
I said, obviously not looking like me and things like that. But I sort of said, look how I treat your mum.
Those traits.
Yeah, look how I treat your mum, look how I treat you.
Never expect anything less from your partner.
Yeah.
But I already expected less from a partner.
Yeah.
So
So he was on a back foot from the
yeah,
start,
I had
wasn't
no guidelines. And then I remember, and I kept saying, I've married my dad, and instead of giving birth to 3 children, and that was it, I gave birth to 3, but I actually lived with 4.
Yeah.
And then people would just come and live with us, and that didn't help, because maybe, and I'm not blaming them, I let them come and live with us.
Yeah.
But maybe I would have had the time and the inclination to make my move a lot of it earlier, and my kids wouldn't have had to have suffered as well.
Yeah.
Because they could be the next people sitting there and you're saying, what was your childhood?
Yeah.
And their childhood was probably a lot worse than mine was, because I married someone with those traits, but worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It is crazy. I mean, I'm quite big on reflection. And it's when you look back, you sort of think, oh, I should have done this and I should have done that. But actually, you probably wasn't as wise as you are, or was then, to what you are now.
No.
Like you said, you kind of, if you were to go back, you would do things differently.
Well, we moved house 13 times.
Oh, wow, yeah, wow.
And that was me trying to get away
Yeah,
and get a fresh start.
yeah.
And every single time he showed up.
Oh, I see.
And he would say, I've come to take the kids out. And the kids, then I'd say, go on, you go with your dad. And then he'd go, I'm not going without you.
Yeah,
The kids would cry, I'd end up getting my coat. And that was it.
yeah,
Because I wouldn't hurt the kids.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Now, I thought I was being, putting their feelings first. But if I'd have been cruel to be kind in the first place, that wouldn't have continued to happen. But he did, he manipulated me,
Yeah.
knowing I didn't want my kids upset.
Yeah, so then that was a way of kind of looping you back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that a lot until I eventually, they were grown up. There was only my youngest that wasn't an adult
Yeah.
when I finally left. And I look at them now, and they've all got battle scars from it,
Yeah,
and it's such a shame.
yeah.
You know.
Because I look back on, sort of just to reflect on that, I look back and I'll have this, not the same battle scars, but my own battle scars. But I think without them battle scars, I probably wouldn't be the person that I am today. So whereas I think you've done a good job in what you're raising your children. I can say that. So you should be proud of yourself because you've raised some good people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
They are. They're beautiful, all of them.
So don't knock yourself on that.
Yeah, you just feel guilty because I know they've got some of their own issues.
Yeah.
Which my daughter works through. She's like me. She's working on herself continually.
Which is a great trait to have.
Yeah. The boys not so.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But then again, I was in my 50s before I realised that I'd got to work more on myself. So this time.
But, of course, but then I think with men as well, or males, there is that more sort of stigma or sort of things like, I was going to back my emotions and feelings away.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a case of, I might go to work and look after, make sure the kids are okay and there's enough money there to pay the bills and feed them and everything else.
Yeah.
But actually, working on me, that doesn't matter, I'll put that sort of behind.
It's a recent thing as well though, isn't it? So that's exactly what I did. I just survived, I went to work, I paid the bills, I looked after the kids, tried to keep everybody happy.
Yeah.
To the detriment of myself.
Yeah, because it's kind of impossible, isn't it, to make everyone happy?
Yeah. But that was my job. And one of the things that my therapist said, you cannot fix everybody, you can only fix yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she's right. And I still can't help it when you know, a family, extended family come to me, help. Because I've always done it.
Yeah.
And because I have to now say, I can't cope with that at the moment. You know, I'm working on myself.
Yeah.
I can't take on your drama. Because a lot of the time it's self-inflicted. And I'm not talking about the kids now, I'm talking about other parts of my family.
Yeah.
But I've always been the person to bail people out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and I don't mean money, I mean emotionally.
Yeah. Then you've got to carry that, though, haven't you?
Then I have to carry that negative energy all day, and I don't want to, because they inevitably don't listen to me, or they go back and do exactly what they've done to cause it in the first place.
Yeah.
So I've had to say, you fight your own battles, don't get me involved. You know, if you definitely need me, but that's really hard to do when you've never done it.
Yeah.
Because now people are looking at me as if, this is not my mum, this is not my sister.
Yeah.
You know.
There's a kind of bit of rejection from them, but actually, sometimes you do have to be cruel to be kind, don't you? Mm-hmm. Whereas if you kept sort of, I don't know, doing something for me, I'm never going to learn to do it.
You're never going to learn to do it, you're never going to self-reflect, you're never going to learn your life's lessons because it's your journey, not mine.
Yeah.
And also, me taking that on, I had so much negativity that nearly 8 years ago I ended up with stage 4 cancer.
Wow. Because I was literally about to sort of say, kind of, what has been the biggest adversity to date?
Yeah.
If that is that.
Yeah, it'll be the marriage, which we've sort of touched on, but it'll be the cancer. That was the one that made me realise that things have got to change. And looking into it, the doctors won't tell you this, but therapists and counsellors and alternative medicine, you know, anybody who practices that will tell you that I had a tumour on the liver. Mm-hmm. And the liver is where you don't speak your truth. So I just took, never challenged anyone. Yeah. Didn't say how I was feeling and how everything made me feel. And so now I believe that that's why that tumour was there on my liver, because that's different parts of your body. So if you spoke to, say, a Reiki therapist.
I was going to say, so what do you mean when you sort of say the liver? Explain that, please.
That's communication. Well, your liver is stress.
Yeah.
Okay? So your throat is communication. So when I've constantly had sore throats and chest infections. Constantly.
Yeah.
Now, touch wood, I haven't had them for a few years.
Okay.
Because I do speak out now, sometimes a little bit too brutal.
Yeah.
I've sort of gone the other way. So I can be a bit short and sharp, and people are like, oh.
Well, people know where they stand, and I think that's a beautiful thing as well.
Yeah, and I don't know, say what, I didn't mean it, I'm just telling you, I didn't mean it like that, but no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, they're not used to me being that straightforward.
Yeah.
But I've felt better since I've had less ailments. And so for years and years, when I was married, and even when I left, and I had a short relationship that was just as abusive, but not in a physical way. It was more mental abuse and
Yeah.
more manipulation. And
Which can be worse in a way sometimes, can't
it was
it?
more emotional,
Yeah.
you know, making me feel guilty, and that it was just a bad experience. So when I then got the cancer, I remember saying to that person, you're making me angry all the time, and I don't want to be angry all the time.
Yeah.
So we need to just split.
Yeah.
And he would use he would be very upset, he'd be crying, and, you know, his family would be devastated, he would be devastated. I'm the love of his life. I was never the love of his life. I was never. I think the love of his life was him. You know?
Okay, yeah.
Just watching what's happened since. But I said to him, I don't like how angry you make me.
Yeah.
Because nobody else, even my husband, who was the worst person on earth that's ever been in my circle,
Yeah.
never made me. He did sometimes, but not that bad. I was more hurt and disappointed and emotionally battered as well as physically battered. But with him, it was more, he just made me angry, and I think that was because I'd decided when I left my marriage that I wasn't going to put up with that.
Yeah.
I was alone for 5-6 years maybe. Went out with him basically, it was by accident, but I ended up going out with him and started to see him, and he seemed a nice person. And you know, everybody was saying, oh, you deserve a bit of happiness. Oh, okay. And then he turned into this manipulative little weasel. And he would make me angry. And I said, I'm getting angry a lot, and I don't like the way you'll make, you know, we don't suit each other because I'm not an angry person like this.
Yeah.
And
Do you think, go on, sorry.
Go on, no, then I ended up with cancer.
I was going to say, do you think though, from your previous experiences, you built that sort of resilience and courage to sort of say, actually, I'm not putting up with this shit anymore, and to sort of speak out sort of sooner rather than later?
Yeah, definitely. But he also then would manipulate me because knowing the type of person I still was, this is going to hurt my elderly dad, this is going to hurt my kids and my grandkids that have got to know you, and the dog will miss me and I'll miss you, and blah, blah. And so I would put up just to keep them happy rather than keep myself happy.
Yeah.
So I mean, since then I have been single. Once I'd been diagnosed with my cancer, and he was literally no support anyway. He just wasn't there, he just left me, so my mum and my daughter looked after me.
Yeah.
And I forgot what I was going to say, I just lost my train of thought, but I've been single ever since.
Yeah.
And somebody funny enough asked me about this last week sometime, and I said, I don't trust myself. Even though I know I'm a different person, I don't trust that I will pick the wrong person and then be back to square one.
Yeah. I used to work with a lady. She was in like a domestic abuse sort of physical relationship for many, many years, and she said, she sort of said, I can't tell you what it is. She sort of said, I can pick out in a football stadium someone who abuses their wife. But then she also sort of says, don't know what it is about women that have been sort of abused. We're also drawn to them kind of people, and I sort of thought, oh wow, and which is kind of sad in a way. It's also interesting, and
it's comfort. It's comfort in what you know. So if you know abuse and you've lived with it, it's uncomfortable, and it sounds mad. It's uncomfortable.
Well, you can survive it.
But it's also uncomfortable to set boundaries because you've never done it. You think you have. In your head you're setting them, but in real life you're not. You're knowing that you can't tolerate this, but you're not verbalising it and you're not sticking to it.
Oh, okay.
It's so hard, and you are drawn to. I remember somebody saying to me, oh, you like the bad boys. I actually don't. I look at them and I think you're disgusting. But there is something that makes me feel I can fix that person when I know I can't.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So when you got diagnosed with cancer, what was that like for you? So I think there's a lot of people out there now, isn't there, that can sort of relate to cancer of some sort. Whether it's my mum died of cancer, or is it 1 in 2 people now get cancer?
Yeah, 1 in 2.
So there's probably not many people who can't relate to sort of either getting cancer or knowing someone who's had cancer.
You always think, wow, I never thought this would happen to me.
Yeah.
But I'd been quite ill for quite a time before it was diagnosed. And for me, I knew something was seriously wrong with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to before I was diagnosed, I ended up being bedridden.
Yeah.
And I luckily I lived in a bungalow, and I was helped to the toilet, and I was helped to bathe, and even before I was diagnosed, and I just kept going to the doctors, and they kept saying, can't do anything for you till we know what it is. But I feel sorry for people who just go, oh, I've got a bit of a twinge, I'm going to go to the doctors, and then they've got cancer and they've got weeks to live. And I think, wow, you know, I'd already in my mind, I was only going to live about 3 months.
Yeah.
Before I was even diagnosed. The funny thing is, once I was diagnosed, I changed my attitude. I thought, I'm fighting this.
Yeah.
So when they told me, and at the time they thought it was inoperable and uncurable
Really?
at that
Wow.
time.
So what they call that terminal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd got to, well, I think there was a 10% chance of, that really, it was just like, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, that's what they said to me.
Yeah.
And it was only when the doctor put his hand on me and said, I am so sorry, that the tears started. And everybody else in the room was trying to be brave, and they wouldn't look at me. And then afterwards, once they'd all gone home, because they were there for hours, I got moved to a private room with an ensuite and all of this, and I just couldn't wait for everybody to go.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because I just wanted to have a little cry and think.
Yeah, kind of process it all.
Yeah, so as they left, which was about 10 o'clock on the night, and this, you know, I'd been told at 9 o'clock in the morning, and everybody was in there, and I know they didn't want to go because they thought we're deserting, and I said, no, go home, get your rest, blah blah blah. And I remember, and I just thought, right, I can cry now, but I didn't cry. I just thought, I don't want to cry actually. I want to fight this.
Yeah.
So I just thought, I'm just going to think, you know, I'm just going to pray. I'm going to ask, what do I need to do? What can I do? So a few days later I had a biopsy, and then I was in hospital about 10 days, and I wanted to be let out.
Yeah.
So that's when my mum and my daughter looked after me 24/7, because I had to have medication every 4 hours.
Fair play to them as well for that.
Yeah, and my sister got me, you seen those cats with the arm that does that? They're supposed to be lucky cats.
Oh yes,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
I don't know what they are or what they symbolise. My sister got me one of them, and I got my Bibles out. And although I've never read the Bible, sorry, I held it to my liver and prayed over it. And my daughter ordered me some CBD and THC. And at that point, it's different now, but at that point it came in 2 separate pots. Both of them were illegal at the time, but did we care?
Yeah.
And probably about 3 days before I started my chemo, or thereabouts, I started taking CBD and THC. And that was the most traumatising time of my life because it was disgusting.
Yeah.
I used to cry, I said I can't take it, and they'd make me, and thank God they did.
Yeah.
So the result of the biopsy was a little bit more positive than they'd originally thought, because they thought it was liver cancer.
Yeah.
When in fact it was lymphoma.
Okay.
A special type of lymphoma, something like large B cell diffuse lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's. Long words.
Yeah.
Which then I said, well, what's the chances? And they said, well, there is a 30% chance that you'll get through this.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay. Last 2 weeks ago,
it was 10.
It was, it was hardly any chance, 10 at the most.
Yeah.
Now it's 30. I'm going to increase on that, and that's all I thought. And I never once thought about dying after that.
Yeah.
But before I was diagnosed, I told my sister where I wanted to be when I died.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to be gone by the September. By the September, I went back to the consultant after 3 bouts of chemo to be told that this tumour that was 12 centimetres by 12.5 by something else was now the size of an egg.
Oh wow.
So I was supposed to go into hospital for 4 months.
Yeah.
Having 17 days of chemo with 4 days off, but I would be too ill to go home in those 4 days.
Yeah.
So I would be in for 4 months, and it was 17 days, 4 days off, 17 days, 4 days off.
Wow.
It was going to be intravenous 24 hours.
What does that mean?
Sort of like you've got to...
On drips and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
24 hours, plus lumbar punctures into the spine, plus normal chemo.
Wow, it's a lot, isn't it?
So I was going to be very, very poorly. But because I was so poorly, they gave me emergency chemo. Unbeknown to them at the time, I was taking CBD and THC. So when I went to go and have my assessment, ready to go into hospital for 4 months, for the first time I walked into a doctor's office, whereas I'd had to go in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
My blood test, they thought I was going to have blood transfusions, bone marrow transplants, radiotherapy, and lumbar punctures in the spine. When I went back after the first bout of chemo, I walked in that office, my blood levels had risen, and he said, "You have had a fantastic clinical response." He said, "I'm not going to put you into hospital for 4 months."
Yeah.
Because it's too toxic. And I was a little bit worried because I thought, oh, you know, this is quite bad. I want you to give it the best treatment. He said, "You've already had a good reaction."
Kind of
so
progressing well.
yeah, we carried on. And then I had another 2 and went for a CT scan. Went to the doctors and he showed me the scan. He showed me the scan before and the scan afterwards. So it was probably a 5th or a 6th of what it was.
Oh wow.
And it wasn't as dark. I mean, it was black before.
Yeah.
There was hardly any liver left. And the liver had got necrosis and had started to die off, which was causing infections all over my body. And this then, like the liver was growing back, this growth was smaller. And the original PET scan, CT scan had shown that it was spreading into my pelvis, into my thighs, into my bones and my shoulders. And then all that was not there anymore in this tumour. So they said, "We might have to zap the last bit, and you might still have to have a bone marrow transplant, but we'll see." And then by the December, I was cancer free, and the only thing I had was lumbar punctures to prevent it spreading to my brain.
Oh, so in December you was cancer free?
Yeah.
When was you sort of diagnosed?
I was diagnosed on June the 27th,
So June to December?
and then my first chemo was July the 18th.
Oh, okay. So what do you reckon, was the CBD or the chemo?
It was CBD,
CBD, so you reckon?
definitely.
Because it's funny you say that as well. Somebody we know, she was given, if I get this correct, a couple of months to live, and then her boys give her CBD and things like that, and she was walking up and down the high street.
Yeah.
Eventually she went, bless her,
Yeah.
but then she was.
But I know someone who is a friend of a friend of a friend who is on their 3rd bout of cancer in the last 8 years.
Yeah.
So had cancer, took CBD, but did they take CBD? I don't know. I'll probably but had cancer, chemo, got rid of it. Came back, chemo, got rid of it.
Yeah.
Came back again, they said you've got 6 months. Now that was nearly 5 years ago.
Oh wow.
They went on the CBD. I don't know, but they're still alive.
Yeah.
I don't know they've got 6 months, they've had 5 years. Or 4.5 years.
That's really good, isn't it? Yeah.
And it was because of me that inspired them to say, "I'm doing it and I'm never going to stop taking it." And the thing is, you can't stop taking it, not really, not once you do. So I had a maintenance dose.
Yeah, of course, but then if so be it, then you look fit and well.
Yeah, fit maybe not, but yeah. So yeah, the journey of cancer is quite a traumatic one, but I think instead of giving into it, which I nearly did before I was diagnosed, planning, I wanted to go to the beach and die on the beach with my family around me and whatever. Great for me, traumatic for them.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think of at the time, but I didn't expect to live more than 3 months, and I never thought I would die.
Yeah.
You know, you don't think, none of us think we're going to die.
Yeah.
None of us do. But to go, right, now you've been diagnosed, I know what I'm fighting now.
Yeah.
And with the CBD and THC, like I say, it was disgusting. It was foul. And I used to cry, and they used to give me a bit of chocolate, and then... and it just spoiled. It was like putting olive oil in a dirty ashtray and getting it to drink. That's what it does, yeah. And I remember my son going, "It can't be that bad, Mum, come on." I went, "Right, put some on you."
Try some, yeah.
And he licked it, and there was... and he was out the window, tears running down his face, vomiting. Well, not probably, but you know,
next to
out the window. And he said, "It's disgusting. I don't know how you do it." And I said, "I know." So what we did, we used to warm it up and melt it down because the THC was like a coconut oil.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
a yellow coconut all it looked like, and then the CBD was in the jars in a dropper, and you're supposed to put a dropper under your tongue.
Yeah.
But because I was so ill as well, strong smells, strong tastes used to make me sick. Because I was full of infection as well. So they brought some clear, empty capsules from Amazon, and they would sit for hours filling these up with the doses that I need, and then I would just take capsules.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And then once I got better, I did it myself. When I was bored, I sat there and I
Just kind of do a little stuff.
Did a little stock, but it's all done. Put it into tablets, and I used to have to take like 6 of one and 4 of another a day. And I used to do it. Carried on for quite a long time afterwards, but then I had a break and didn't take any. And then when you start getting twinges, you start panicking, thinking.
Yeah.
So I do another maintenance dose.
To kind of keep you sort of
Just a
a head
drop
above
on the
water
tongue.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? And then, because my experience of that is, my mum was diagnosed in November, dead in January.
Wow.
Yeah, but I believe probably now she probably had it longer.
Oh, she would have done, yeah.
But what would never leave me is I remember sitting there like yourself with your family, with the doctor when he told us, and again I just kind of froze. But I'll never forget him. He looked stressed, and I mean stressed. And I thought to myself, though, what a shit job.
Yeah.
As much as he's probably getting loads of money as a doctor and everything else, and has worked hard all his life, I thought, you've just told me, or you told my mum, that she's gonna die, sort of kind of thing, or she's got a sort of lethal disease. And I thought, wow, I'll never forget his face. I can see him now sitting there. He was meant to put his fingers through his hair, kind of stressed, and he went, I'm so sorry. And then she was given, kind of a bit like yourself, no chance of operations, everything else. And then they sort of said, do this. It's going to take life off you and time off you, and this operation, so she just sort of said, I'll just run with it, refuse chemo and all that, and then again, so November to January. But I think, look back now, I think I'm glad it happened that quick.
Yeah.
Because I was just a wreck.
I bet.
Yeah, but again, like yourself, I was all like, you okay, Dad? Yeah, you know me, looking and diving,
Yeah.
sort of all that
But
stuff.
inside, you put it all away.
Inside all broke.
But it's not good for us, is it?
No.
That's the thing. It's
No.
not good for us. I've got a box full of memories that most of them I can't remember unless somebody triggers that
it,
memory.
yeah.
And then I'm like, oh my God, how did I live through that? Or how did I put up with that?
Yeah.
Why didn't I deal with that when it... And I just like, everything that happened, it was like, thank you, put it in the box.
Yeah.
Shut the box,
Yeah,
carry on with your life.
yeah.
Thank you, okay, dealt with that, it's gone now, put it in the box. And that was to my detriment,
Yeah.
definitely, for my health. But talking about CBD and THC, so to anybody that's listening and dealing with cancer, if you take it like you should,
Yeah.
most times, I'm not going to say 100% because I'm not a doctor and I don't sell the stuff, I don't make the stuff.
Yeah.
But I would say you are increasing your chances of extending your life and living.
You are the
Yeah.
proof, aren't you?
And I've got a friend down in, I think he's Portsmouth, and I only know him through looking for someone that did THC and CBD for a friend of mine that was given 12 months in May, June of last year.
Yeah.
And they had esophagus cancer, and it had spread or metastasised, they say.
That's a big word.
It's a big word and I can't normally say it. And it had gone round his heart and into his stomach.
Oh, okay.
And they said, basically, we don't know of anyone that's lived 12 months with this.
Oh, really? Okay.
So he said to me, what do you think I should do? I said, you do whatever you want to do, but I'm not going to tell you not to have chemo. I'm never going to tell anybody to do that. But what I will tell you, I had my chemo, and at the very least, the CBD and THC lessened the harshness of the chemo.
Yeah.
So I did lose my hair, and the first lot of chemo, I was throwing up, and you go from being can't go to the toilet to going every second of the day, but after that, it helped me.
Yeah.
It really did. I didn't have those symptoms. I didn't go through the normal after effects of the chemo.
Yeah.
So even if it does that for you, but take it religiously. So he's been taking it religiously. I'll put him in contact with this fella. He's been taking it religiously. And they do all sorts of different things now. You take them as suppositories, you take them as nasal sprays, you do drops. So it attacks it from all angles of your body.
Yeah.
And he went and had a CT scan just before Christmas, so June to Christmas, and it's either the ones round his heart or the ones in his stomach. Haven't spoken to him much, to be honest, but some of those nodules they've gone.
Wow.
Okay.
That's amazing, isn't it?
And the tumour in his esophagus has shrunk. So he's still got a lot of work to do,
Yeah.
but they're saying fantastic response.
Wow. And you reckon that's down to the CBD?
And as far as I'm aware, because I haven't spoken to him for a while, he was my sister's boyfriend at the time and he's no longer, so.
Yeah.
But as far as I'm aware, the chemo is stopped. And
Oh,
that-
he's just managing with the
and
CBD?
as far as I'm aware.
Wow.
So he sort of, you know, he expected to be on his deathbed by now.
Yeah.
And so I will always say to people, do it. Do it, but if you're going to do it, because it costs quite a bit of money,
Yeah.
if you're going to do it properly.
Yeah.
So two of my close friends have died because they were in hospital and didn't want to take it to hospital with them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've put it in your toiletry bag. They're
Yeah,
not going to look
yeah,
in there.
yeah.
They don't care. So both of them quite ill when it was, you know, stage 4, same as I was.
Mhm.
Whereas they're going, I don't want to take him to hospital. What if it shows up on the blood test? I'm feeling a bit sick. I don't want to take it, but both of them have died.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And that they sort of played around with it, but didn't take it because of whatever.
Yeah.
So luckily, I took it to hospital with me. I carried on taking it
Yeah.
every time, and I took it religiously. The nurse would come around, give me my normal tablets, then I'd take mine, you know, and I swear that that's what helped.
Yeah. That's amazing. But I think when you was talking earlier and you sort of said, at least what kind of sort of resonated with me was when you sort of said your attitude and mind. And I think the mind's a powerful thing, isn't it?
Definitely.
So whereas I think that probably sort of played its part as well, didn't it? Would you not say?
Yeah, because I was determined I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
Once I'd been diagnosed, I was definitely determined I was going to fight it with everything I've
Yeah.
got. But once you've made that decision, it's out there. So
Yeah.
you haven't got to keep thinking about it, and I didn't.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So every day I hadn't got to think about, I'm fighting this, I'm fighting this. And once I made the statement in my head, and again, I didn't know about manifesting and things like that. And I look back, that's what I was doing. I'd put it out to the universe or whatever,
Yeah.
that I was going to fight this and I was going to survive this,
Mm.
and then just carried on with my life, even when I couldn't walk, even when I couldn't eat, even
Yeah.
when I went into hospital 3 times with sepsis. Never once doubted that I wasn't going to survive.
I think that's amazing because then, again, the whole mentality around it becomes different. It's not a struggle as such, is it? It's more of a,
This is my journey that I'm
yeah,
getting
in time
through.
I'm going to get past this.
Yeah.
That's
And-
great.
And you're still a little bit nervous when you go for your checkups.
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
you know, and I cried twice. The first time I was told and sorry,
Mm-hmm.
the doctor touched me, and then at that 3 month where we could see it had shrunk.
Yeah.
No, I cried 3 times. I'm lying now. So and it was just a little bit of a. It was so emotional to know that it was working.
Yeah.
And then on my youngest son's 21st birthday, so I had my last chemo on my dad's birthday, I think 2nd or 3rd of November. It was, my dad's birthday was the 2nd of November, so it might have been the day after, but it was there or thereabouts. I had my last chemo, and I'd just going to have full bouts of lumbar punctures, which were horrible. I'd got to go back to the doctors for a CT scan on the 15th of December.
Yeah.
Or a PET scan, I think it was. So I went for that, and they said, come back on the 9th of Jan. I said, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me before Christmas, whether it's good, bad or ugly, I want you to tell me before Christmas. She rang me on my youngest son's birthday. I was actually meeting some friends for coffee, swapping Christmas presents.
Yeah.
And just before they arrived, I'm in Costa on my own, and I get this phone call, and it's the consultant. And she said, we've got your results, are you sitting down? I said, yes. She's right, she says, we've done the CT scan, and you are completely disease-free.
Wow.
And the tears down the eyes.
I can imagine.
And I phoned my son, and he put on Facebook, best birthday present ever.
Yeah, that'd be amazing for your kids.
And I just phoned everybody, and the tears was joy. It was just amazing, and I just wish everybody could feel that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
That if you've gone through it, but I would recommend.
Did you get to? I know this might sound cheesy.
No.
Did you ring the
No.
bell? Oh.
Because I didn't go, did I? I didn't go
of
to
course.
hospital. I just went back then, and they did the lumbar punctures, which were vile. And I lost my last few eyelashes having that done. I can remember because I got my eyelashes, and I remember that was the last two, and they were on a pillar.
Yeah.
I remember thinking daft things like that. I used to think
Yeah.
daft things, you know. So also when you have chemo, certain types of chemo, I don't know whether it's all, will make your fingernails go dark.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes fall off. Toenails, your fingers go numb, your toes go numb. Now, I had a little bit on a couple of fingers of numbness. That was it. And they said, you may not get that feeling back. I'm fine.
Really? Yeah.
I'm fine. I had a discoloured couple of that sort of purpley toenails for a bit, but nothing gross, nothing disgusting.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the CBD. Because what it does, it repairs your cells.
Yeah.
And it's the only sort of, whereas chemo will destroy good cells as well as bad, CBD or cannabis and THC, they will only attack cancer cells.
Yeah.
How it works I do not know, but one will kill cancer cells.
Yeah.
The other one, and again I'm not entirely sure, will stop it from spreading.
Yeah.
So one zaps it, one stops it, the cancer cells from duplicating.
Oh, okay.
So
Clever.
Very clever.
Yeah.
So now I'm a little bit into all of that now.
Yeah. I can imagine. It's saved your life, hasn't it?
Yeah, it saved my life. So not only that, like I take honey, lemon, ginger and cinnamon
Yeah.
in hot water every day.
Yeah.
Every single day.
That's good.
Yeah.
Really good.
Then I'm getting a few aches and pains, and I haven't been doing this because you just think, oh, I'm all right, and you stop your practices, and
Yeah.
you really shouldn't. So I should take turmeric, cayenne pepper.
Yeah. Good for joints, isn't it?
For my joints, yeah. And my joints are killing me at the moment, so I've got to start that again. And that's just a spoonful every day. I buy the purest honey I can afford.
Yeah. Oh, the turmeric, you take a spoon of it?
Yeah, but you mix it with honey.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Turmeric.
Oh, sorry, yeah. I thought you meant just
so,
like at the thing.
No, it's disgusting stuff. But you mix so much. I do a pot, so I make a pot.
Yeah.
And I keep it, and then I just take a spoonful out, and I'll either put it in my hot lemon.
Yeah.
Or if I'm feeling brave, I'll take a spoonful.
Ooh.
Better to take the spoonful,
yeah.
because otherwise I'm ruining my honey and lemon drink that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
So it depends what mood I'm in and how much time I've got. So, but I bought a pocket, can't say it, but it's APO, I don't know. But anyway, it is about natural remedies.
Oh, okay.
So I already make my own deodorants. I haven't brought chocolate.
Yes,
so,
I've heard that this is all good for you as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so and you make it out of like sort of shea butter and arrowroot powder and certain things.
Oh, now I know what the smell of the car was.
Is that me?
No,
yeah, and then you can put your essential oils in.
Yeah.
So I do my own moisturiser. Don't put
Okay.
anything fake on, and I've started to do my own body wash, but I've not found the nicest one yet. So I
Yeah.
still do sometimes use a shot. You know when people buy you for Christmas.
Yeah.
But the one thing that everybody tells you to do, you know, doctors are saying, you know, well not doctors, beauticians, they'll say lather it on and pat it into your skin. I won't do any of that. I'll wash and I'll rinse it off, and I'll get a towel and I'll scrub my skin.
Okay.
Because I think if I'm putting anything that my skin's absorbing, because all those things have got chemicals in them.
Yeah.
If I'm patting in the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. Make my own toothpaste, although I don't always do that. But you know, I'm sort of in between being perfect to just resorting back to what's easier sometimes.
Yeah.
But I do my own cleanser. So I make a really oily cleanser, like you know.
Because you have got good skin, haven't you?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Not for my age, but so I do my own cleanser, and then I do what you call a gua sha, which is a tool that you massage your face. And you've got certain bits of your face that will heal bits of your body. So every bit on your
okay.
face, and again, I don't know it all,
Yeah.
but I went for a face massage and she was telling me, and I was thinking, no wonder, because
Yeah.
I had a very thick sort of here, it was really thick,
Yeah.
and it's gone now. But if that's thick, then there's something in your body that's not working properly.
Oh, okay, making me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it isn't thick anymore. It was like solid, and here under my chin.
Yeah.
And sometimes that does crunch, and then here, there's certain points.
Yeah. Your
So,
body tells it. Yeah.
Yeah. So by using this washer, I'm not only massaging and trying to make my skin more youthful in appearance and get rid of wrinkles, I'm actually flushing certain things out of my body as well.
Oh, okay. So is that a bit like, you know, I've heard people say, or seen things where they say if you get spots on your forehead, it means this, or
Yeah.
on the side, or on your cheeks.
Yeah, they're telling you something's wrong with your body.
Yeah.
And everything is down to what you eat.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
So the word disease comes from dis-ease. You don't feel at ease. Something's wrong.
Yes.
And it usually starts with your digestion.
Yeah. And your gut and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So most things start with the gut. So everything that we eat, so sugar and refined foods and you know, those carbohydrates that turn into lots of sugar and things like that. We eat a lot of processed food as a nation. Not saying you do or I do, I mean as a nation. And that's where a lot of, dementia and Alzheimer's, that starts in the gut.
Autism is linked to the sort of food that we eat.
Yeah.
Things like that.
So you mentioned autism. I've got to look at something on YouTube. Have you ever heard of the telepathy tapes?
I'm not sure.
I've heard of it and I still haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah.
So basically, you know, autistic children that can't speak,
Yeah.
they are very, very knowledgeable about sort of how we should be living.
Oh, okay.
How, as a human race, we are supernatural.
Yeah.
And so the telepathy tapes are, these children know so much,
Yeah.
but they can't communicate it. So I'm dying to watch it. So I'm going to have to watch that. Because people are saying that autistic people know and are more clever than, well, we knew that anyway.
Yeah.
But somehow they are telepathically receiving information that we aren't.
But then the funny thing is they can't communicate it,
Yeah.
at least verbally.
At least verbally.
Yeah.
So, you know, they've found a way to communicate with them, but telepathically they are picking up on things that we don't. And I came across, this is totally unrelated, but I've just got to throw it in there. There was a man in the 1940s, 1950s, went and lived in the Australian outback, just to study Aborigines.
Yeah.
And Aborigines, they used to sit and they said, "Can you hear the stars?" And he was like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And they said, "We feel really sorry for you because we hear the stars."
Wow.
So I think it's something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know, something really, you know, anybody listening to this is wondering she's cuckoo, but you know, I understand things like that because I think there's got to be more than what we're doing. We didn't just come on earth to just upset people, get what we can, and get out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't take it with us. So
And it's
that's
too
one of the
arrogant to be
reasons.
like that, isn't it? For the world to be that way.
Yeah, and I think we are here to learn lessons, but what they are, I don't know. And I remember asking, my therapist said, "What do you think your purpose is?"
Yeah.
And
I was going to ask you that today.
Yeah. And I said, "I've no idea."
Yeah.
She said, "We are here to be happy. When we're happy, we can make other people happy. So we can be, some people are happy, but they're happy being selfish and materialistic.
Yeah.
But it's about being happy and living your best life without hurting anyone else.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody is doing that yet.
Yeah.
There may be a few, not anybody I know anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't think we're going to meet many people that are 100% that way, to be honest. Because it's just the world that we're living in. You need material things sometimes to live a certain way.
Yeah, you need, but it's about, do I need? I find it quite repulsive. But then again, if I had money, I might not.
Yeah.
But you know, I've just, you know, I remember somebody saying, when we worked, what did you spend your bonus on? And I think I had my kitchen done or something. She went, I bought some Louboutin shoes, and I thought, I'm not impressed by that.
Yeah, I'm similar.
I'm not impressed by that at all.
Yeah.
And all you do is make other people, well, not me, but other people can be jealous of that because they can't do it. And that's what causes people to take.
Yeah.
And if we were all, get a bit political, but I'm not political in any way, but if we all had access to the same things, there would be no need for envy and jealousy and arguing and fighting.
Yeah.
But the way the world is, we have people that have look like fantastic lives, but if you look at what's going on with P. Diddy at the moment and all of them celebrities, I wouldn't want that life. And
absolutely not. I said something a little while ago, and I said it to my little brother actually, because we have certain conversations, and that's what I said. I seen this thing where it said, there's two people in this world, there's person one or person A that carries £1,000 bag with nothing in it, and there's person 2 or person B that carries a plastic bag with £1,000 in it. And I thought about it, and that's what I said, what do you want to be? I said, one's for show, and one's for, if you like, substance and beating somebody, but not showing off. And I thought, I'd much rather be person B. Well, that's my aim at least.
Well, I wouldn't want to attract anybody to me and think, oh, she's got a Rolex on, I'm going to, knock her out in the car park. So, what's the point? If you just have to. I saw something on the news, I don't watch the news. I haven't read a newspaper.
Same, I don't do all that.
Haven't read a newspaper for probably 15, 20 years. Haven't watched the news for longer than that. I remember as a child that the news at 10, bong, bong. Used to depress me for whatever reason.
Because it's negativity coming, isn't it?
It set me with doom and gloom, so I avoided it, and I still don't watch it now. I don't watch any of it. So I get my news from seeing internet headlines, and if I'm interested, I'll look at it. And half the time I think, what a load of bollocks. I saw something about a girl who had a £10,000 bag, and she was upset because somebody had snatched it. But I just think, what handbag would be worth 10 grand? What handbag is worth over 100 really?
It's right, isn't it? So £10,000. I think it cost us less than £10,000, and we went to America Disney, Florida, and created just some great memories and things like that for my kids and then some other family members. Whether it's £10,000 and walking around £10,000 bag, it's not a great memory for you and my kids. They're like, oh.
Exactly, but also I wouldn't know if you sat here with a Rolex. I wouldn't know if you sat here in your trainers with 10 grand trainers. I wouldn't know. I am that, and they go. People say to me, "Do you not know? Why would I follow fashion? What is the point?"
With some fashion stuff like that, I think it's quite ugly. Some of the stuff anyway.
So do I, and I'm thinking, yes, you follow. You fit in, and you wear what other people are wearing to a certain degree. But I don't know any fashion designer after Versace. I don't, that's the last.
Let's start our own brand.
So I don't know it, and I don't know really what's in and what's out, and I don't really care. But I wouldn't know anyway. So anybody sitting here in clothes worth 100 grand, totaling up, they'd be lost on me. Absolutely lost on me. So if it's there to impress me, you've gone over my head because I haven't got a clue.
It's very true, isn't it? And it's kind of, again, subjective. It's like each to their own kind of thing. But to date, what would you say is your greatest achievement?
Well, I don't think this is probably one of my regrets. I haven't got anything that I'm proud of apart from my children. They are, I think, surviving and being where I am now, but having a beautiful family as such. They kept me going. They kept me going. And I think my family, surviving cancer, and being who I am now.
That's lovely.
There's not, your family are your family, and having children was something I never thought I would do, because as a young adult I was never going to get married. I was never going to have children. I was just going to be independent, and I must have known in my head what was going to happen, because for me, all my friends were dreaming. They got Barbie dolls, and not me. I wanted an adventure kit. I had a compass and a camera, and things like that, and a knife. And I used to play armies, and I was a proper tomboy. And then, as we became 15, 16, they were thinking about what wedding dress, and I was thinking, I couldn't think of anything more horrific.
Yeah.
So something somewhere, I knew, you know, subconsciously I knew what was going to happen and I was fighting it.
Yeah.
But it was my destiny to live the life I lived.
Yeah.
To be probably, as my therapist said, because we haven't talked much about the domestic violence and things
Yeah.
like that, and that's fine, but she said people who are in that need to hear that.
Yeah.
So she said to me that she always thought, because she's more of a spiritual therapist rather than a basic therapist.
Yeah, that makes
She,
sense.
you know, crystals and, you know, she's always been able to talk to who she says are spirit guides, angels,
Yeah.
etc. And she said she was told that my mission is to help people.
Because do you know what sprung to my mind? And if I'm being disrespectful in a way, I massively apologise.
That's fine.
But then, again, the person that you are and want to help people is, was you in your head helping someone by staying in your marriage? So somebody else, no, but so somebody else didn't have to deal with that?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And it could be. It could. I don't think so. I think I wasn't helping anybody but him by staying in that marriage.
But then, what I'm trying to say is, while you're with him and sort of surviving, what if it was surviving? Because again, we didn't touch on that. But if it wasn't you, it was going to be somebody else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So was you saving somebody else?
And quite indirectly, probably.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. It wasn't a conscious thought because it was like, will you leave me for somebody else? You know.
Yeah.
Maybe so. And karma, like you say, karma has a way of biting you in the ass.
Yeah.
So he's now with someone new, I say, but they live separately. They've got a child, and she gives as good as she gets. So.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I should have been more assertive, but I was 19, 20. It was totally unexpected.
Mhm.
In terms of, I never expected to be treated like that, because even though my dad wasn't the best parent and he wasn't the best husband, he opened the garage doors when my mum came home, he prepared tea, she had a cup of tea,
yeah.
she had a cup of tea in bed on Mother's Day, he cleaned the windows, he did the garden, you know, he was a traditional dad in that way.
Yeah.
But you could never sit and have fun with my dad.
Yeah.
He was a grumpy git. Until he got older, and then he was wonderful. And I always remember I'd come out of hospital and my dad was just, we didn't know quite what was wrong with him, but he was going into dementia.
Yeah.
And my sons went and fetched him because he lived about 45 minutes away. So they went and fetched him and he came and he said, those lads are really nice. He didn't recognise his own grandkids.
Oh.
Those lads are really nice. And we've had a lot of fun in the car. And then I'm lying on the settee, because literally I was, you know, bedbound. So my mum would get me up out of bed, she'd change my bed, she'd bath me, she'd make a bed on the settee. We had a lovely big L shape, so it was great.
Yeah.
Then she'd make me bed on there, I'd lie in there, and my dad just sat holding my hand. And I never had that from my dad.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And I just connected with my dad at that time.
Mhm.
And I'm glad we had that.
Yeah, that's
because
nice.
I may not have connected. So cancer had its good things. I got rid of a toxic boyfriend.
Yeah.
I started sort of living a bit more for me, although it was very difficult. So the sad thing is, I spoke about this to my therapist this morning.
Yeah.
She said to me 4 years ago, if I gave you £500 now, what would you spend it on?
Mm.
I said, I don't know. She says, well, okay, if I said, go and have a night out with your friends, what would you do?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. She says, well, where would you go on holiday? I said, I don't know. So I had, 5 years ago, no plan for the future.
Yeah, not kind of like sort of plans
I
or
had
expectations.
Expectations, nothing to look forward to. Because,
Yeah.
And she said, if I asked you now, she said, you're already telling me before I ask you.
Yeah.
I'm doing this and I'm going there and I'm doing this and this is what I want to do this year. But how sad when I look back 5 years ago, less than 5 years ago, that I had no future because of all the things that I'd looked forward to.
Yeah.
Went wrong, and he spoiled.
Yeah.
Then I stopped looking forward to things.
then does that come back to sort of like self-worth? I'm not worthy of. On a good night with my friends, a nice holiday with family.
I wouldn't know where to go because
Yeah.
I've never done it. You know,
Yeah.
I was isolated. You know, everybody gets slightly isolated when you have a family
Yeah.
because it's your family unit.
Yeah, yeah.
But I couldn't have any friends because he would kick off in front of them so they wouldn't want to come again.
Oh, okay.
And because I was embarrassed, I would sort of shut my friends off. So I lost a lot of, I mean, I'm reconnected with a lot of them now.
Yeah.
But I shut off a lot of people because I didn't want them to be involved in my drama.
Yeah.
And that was his plan. And then when you haven't got a support network, I mean, even my sister used to say, well, you keep going back to him.
Yeah, but that's kind of the wrong attitude, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it was a horrible attitude.
Yeah.
And, you know, we didn't get along for a long, long time. Because, you know, I might say to her, will you just watch the kids while I go and do this? Because he won't. And she'd go, you have the kids.
Yeah.
And I used to think, is this how people are? Is this, I go out my way to do things for people?
Yeah. On one of my courses that I deliver, I talk about that. You got the empathy and the sympathy.
Yeah.
And that's kind of sympathy. Well, you've done this and you've done that, or you can do this and you can do that. Where actually the empathy is, I feel you. Let me try and help you.
Yeah.
Let's get out of it together.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And yeah.
And I didn't have that. My mum was in a new relationship. Her and my dad eventually got divorced. Probably when I was 17, 18. And she's only found out now that I said to her, she stayed with him for us.
Yeah.
And I said, you should have got out.
Yeah.
You should have got out. Like I should have got out. And didn't until it was, you know, the damage is done. Not as much, you know, I've probably prevented some damage, but there is damage.
Yeah.
To all.
Well, I would say still be proud of yourself. Again, me sort of growing up around things like that. I think my mum didn't have the sort of the courage or the bravery to do certain things like that. So be very, very proud of yourself, I would say. Yeah, that's amazing. Quick one for you then.
Yeah.
Few sort of, because again, I think there's a few things we didn't touch on which we could have or potentially could do next time. Probably more so about the marriage.
Yeah.
But if I chuck a few quick fire questions at you, what has life taught you?
Well, you've got to be positive. You've always got to think that there is hope.
Yeah.
There is always hope, and pay it forward.
I love that.
I saw that film. That film was amazing.
Yeah.
But I still, at the time, probably didn't understand it.
Mhm.
I do now.
Yeah.
I only ever want to be treated. I only ever want to treat people the way I want to be treated.
Yeah.
And I would never be cruel to anybody again. And I probably have been in my past.
Yeah.
I don't mean nasty cruel, but
No one's perfect,
you know,
either.
we all say things that upset people, and we don't always mean it. But pay it forward.
Yeah.
And you never know anybody's story. You
Absolutely.
never know what they're going through. So,
Absolutely.
you know, when people are homeless and people say that they put themselves there, I can't believe that attitude. You know,
Yeah.
maybe I'm gullible, but I would rather go and give somebody, go into Greg's, get them a nice hot meal, give them a coat, give them a blanket, give them a scarf, give them a couple of quid, whatever.
Yeah.
Get the dog some dog food.
Yeah.
You know, I would rather do that, and you know, and I've spent 20 quid less on my own shopping
Yeah.
than not.
Well, that's a credit to you as a person as well, though, isn't it?
Well, you know, it's not you know, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't want credit. I just want to treat people the way I want to be treated.
Yeah, of course.
And I want to be, and like you're on about self-worth, it's still difficult to put myself first.
Yeah.
It's still difficult to know that I am worthy because for so many years, and probably even as a child,
Yeah.
you know, because Dad started, Mum used to say, shh, go and, you know, keep quiet.
Yeah.
So I would learn from a very early age was to shut up and keep quiet
'Cause that-
when something was happening I didn't like.
Yeah. Because it's human nature, isn't it, to sort of we sort of copy or learnt behaviour.
Yeah.
Is what we call it.
So I was told my feelings weren't valid,
Yeah.
they weren't important in that situation. And so if my sister kicked off, she was the one that was spoiled and I was the one that had to shut up because she was kicking off. I had to shut up because my dad was kicking off. So I didn't know that that's what was happening.
Yeah.
And it's a sort of an emotional neglect. And so then I learned going into my marriage that I had to shut up and put up. If he was unhappy, I had to shut up and let him be. But I was never allowed to voice how I felt or
Yeah.
have any opinion because I didn't matter. And so now I've been separated 16 years and it's only been recently, and I mean in the last couple of years, that and I'm still not there yet, then I am worthy.
Yes,
and I
absolutely.
should, you know, why should everybody else come first before me anymore?
Because good people as well, and that's what you are, what you're trying to be, is good people look after themselves as well, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. I think, don't forget that.
Well, it's like a plane crash. If his plane's going down, if I give everyone else the oxygen, how am I going to be able to help anybody?
Yeah, you can't.
You can't. So you first, then look after everybody else.
Absolutely. Best advice you've been given?
I don't know, I've probably said it, haven't I? Best advice, I don't know. I did think of something earlier, didn't I? Because we were talking off camera.
Oh yes, what did you say? I said I like that. Something about growing, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So the best advice, I've got it. So I learnt this actually in another scenario, nothing to do with my personal life, but it fits my personal life.
Yeah.
Get out your comfort zone, because you will never grow staying comfortable.
Yeah, I like that as well.
Yeah, I was comfortable being abused.
Yeah.
And it felt very uncomfortable to get out of it. Now I'm out of it, I never want to be in that again. So going out your comfort zone will help you grow as a person.
Love that. Do you have advice for youngsters or people struggling in life right now?
There's always, like I say, there's always hope. There is always someone. I think the secret is when you feel sorry for yourself all the time, people become fed up of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they do, because, you know, and that's probably what was happening in my marriage when I was reaching out. Oh, he worries me, but she'll go back to him, so I'm not going to bother.
Yeah.
So my advice is, sometimes it is uncomfortable to break free or get out of what you're doing, but there is always hope, and treat people how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
It is not every man for himself. We're not in the jungle. It's not every dog for himself. It is about, yes, look after yourself, but love everyone, whoever they are.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes keep a distance from some that are not quite as lovable as others.
Yeah.
I don't mean love everybody. I'm not meaning hug everybody and be happy clappy. What I mean is, everybody's got their story and everybody's got their turmoil, and you don't know what they're going through.
Yeah.
Smile every single day.
That's medicine. It's medicine.
Yeah, it is medicine. Open doors for people. Smile. Say thank you.
Yeah.
And then you will find that you start getting that back, and the world will seem a better place.
Absolutely. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Favourite quote or saying, I think we've covered that.
Yeah.
3 fundamentals you live by in life.
I think I've just said them, really. So,
it's supposed to be manners and respect, I suppose, that is, isn't it?
manners and respect. You don't know what people are going through. Some people will be ignorant, and you can't help yourself sometimes. Somebody drops the door in your face or doesn't say thank you when you let them through, and sometimes you go thank you to them. You know.
Yeah.
We all do that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
But I think just really try not to be mean to people, and sometimes that's a personality that some of us have got because we think we're better than them, or because they haven't got.
Like judging.
Yeah. So don't judge people. Don't be judgmental. Don't be mean, and don't say anything if it's not going to be nice.
Yeah.
Probably another one. Don't give your opinion unless it's asked for.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I do say to people now. Did I ask your opinion?
Yeah.
And if they say no, I say, well, I don't want it then.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't give it no.
Fair enough.
Because people like to push on their opinion on you, and it's human nature again, but sometimes it can be hurtful.
Yeah.
And I won't, if I haven't asked for it and I get it, and I think that makes sense, I will thank them. But if I get their opinion on what I should be doing, and it doesn't quite resonate with me, then really don't give it. So I try not to give. I'll say to somebody, if they give me a scenario, and I'll go, do you want my honest opinion?
Yeah, that's it. So I'm kind of prepare and build up a little bit.
You might not like it, but if you want my opinion, I'll give it. If you don't want my opinion, then I won't.
Yeah.
And that's, I always ask first if they want my opinion.
Yeah.
So,
that's
because
nice.
Sometimes people like to give it, and I'm like, did I ask?
Shut your mouth then.
I was only telling you something. I wasn't asking for your opinion on it. So yeah, just those are the things I've learnt in life, and probably more so while I've had the space and mental space to actually think about who I am and what I want.
Yeah, and again, I couldn't say it enough. From when I was this big, well, probably a bit bigger.
Yeah.
You've always been lovely and beautiful and everything else. So you keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I'm doing something where I ask every guest a question for the next guest.
Okay.
So what would you like to ask the next guest? And then I'll ask you the question of what the last guest asked.
Okay, do I need to know who they are or what they are?
No.
Okay.
It's like a sort of a confidential or anonymous kind of question.
God. So what am I going to ask the next guest? It's probably nothing you've already asked.
You know, it can be anything. Yeah, actually, shall I ask you the question?
You ask me the question and that'll give me some ideas.
So the last guest said, what do you do to cope with stress?
Alone time.
Alone time.
Alone time,
Yeah.
always.
I like that.
And I will say to people, I'm just, because I have a house full all the time, so I'll just go, I'm going upstairs.
Yeah.
And they know why I'm going upstairs, and I'll go upstairs and I'll just sit and I'll think. And I am an overthinker, but I would rather overthink and then put it into perspective than react.
Yeah.
Because when I didn't get a chance to do that, that's when I get angry, and then you act out of character, and sometimes you say things you don't mean.
Yeah.
Like a playground argument.
Yeah.
And I look back and think, all of us have been childish at some time, and so that if I get stressed and I want to go and de-stress, or I walk the dog usually.
Yeah. So that's your kind of
Send people voice notes.
Yeah.
I'm really pissed off at the moment, so I'm just
Yeah.
gonna. And I don't need you to respond. Thank you.
But that's if that's how you process and self-regulate. Then why not?
Yeah. So the next person is. I don't know if this is one of your questions, but what does the future look like for you?
Love that. Love that. Yeah, love that. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else you want to finish up on?
I don't think
What you want to
so.
say?
No.
Oh,
I don't want to bore anyone.
no. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much.
That's all right.
Yeah.